back to our channel, dedicated to bringing you the most insightful analysis of the turbulent life in Genoa. Today is a great day to explore the complex web of betrayal within the corporate world and the personal tragedies shaping the families we love. Let's delve into the burdens the Winters, Abbott, and Newman families bear as they face their darkest hours. What happens when the love triangle between Billy, Lily, and Kane is re-established, promising incredibly exciting drama for viewers? The atmosphere in Genoa City has grown thick with unspoken tensions and impending betrayals, setting the stage for a tragic intersection of corporate ambition and deeply personal demons. At the center of this brewing storm is the monumental legacy of Chancellor Industries, a corporate behemoth that has long served as a battlefield for the city's most powerful families. The vacuum of power left in the wake of recent corporate reshuffling has forced individuals to confront their deepest desires and their most agonizing loyalties. For Lily Winters, the weight of her family's legacy and the shadow of her late father, Neil, press heavily upon her shoulders, forcing her to navigate a treacherous path where business acumen collides violently with matters of the heart. Within the opulent and hushed confines of the Genoa City Athletic Club, Lily sat in quiet contemplation, her mind racing with the magnitude of the decisions she was about to finalize. The club, usually a place of relaxed luxury, felt like a pressure cooker as she awaited a crucial encounter. Lily found herself standing at a tragic crossroads, torn between the pragmatic demands of running a global empire and the undeniable, magnetic pull she still felt toward Kane Ashby. Her heart, battered by years of betrayals and reconciliations, was once again steering her toward a man whose history was as complicated as her own. The emotional connection she shared with Kane was a powerful undertow, threatening to pull her away from the safety of logic and into a sea of potential regret. The heavy silence of Lily's contemplation was broken by the arrival of Billy Abbott, a man whose lifelong obsession with Chancellor Industries was matched only by his volatile emotional state. Billy approached with a casual demeanor, masking the relentless ambition that always simmered just beneath his surface. Lily gently initiated the conversation by inquiring about his family, specifically asking if he had received any updates from his brother and sister-in-law who were currently attending a high-profile fundraiser in Maryland. Billy casually dismissed the inquiry, noting that he had not heard from them but harbored a general hope for their well-being. His mind, however, was clearly not on family pleasantries. It was focused on the shifting tides of corporate power and where he might fit into the new hierarchy. Recognizing the anticipation in Billy's posture, Lily prepared to drop a monumental revelation that would alter the course of their professional lives. She carefully informed him that she possessed significant news, insisting that he hear it directly from her before the corporate grapevine twisted the truth. With a mixture of pride and trepidation, Lily revealed that the ruthless Victor Newman was entirely relinquishing his iron grip on the Chancellor position, officially transferring the reins of the massive conglomerate into her hands. Billy's initial reaction was one of genuine elation and support. He expressed profound happiness for her monumental achievement, his eyes lighting up with the assumption that this shift in power would naturally lead to a prominent, commanding role for himself within the company he believed was his birthright. Eager to understand the new landscape, Billy immediately pressed Lily for the details of her grand strategy and her plans for the company's future. It was in this fragile moment that Lily pleaded with him to maintain an open and positive mindset, a request that instantly triggered Billy's defensive instincts. Taking a deep breath, Lily delivered the devastating blow to Billy's ego, revealing that she had already made her executive decision regarding the daily operations of the empire. She confessed that she had appointed Kane Ashby to run the company, placing the ultimate power in the hands of the man Billy despised most. The air between them instantly turned frigid, the warmth of their previous camaraderie evaporating in a flash of absolute shock and profound betrayal. The psychological shattering of Billy's expectations manifested in a visceral, explosive reaction, even without a single raised voice. He stared at Lily in sheer disbelief, utterly appalled that she would choose Kane over him for such a critical position. Billy aggressively reminded her of Kane's dark and manipulative history, pointing out the undeniable fact that Kane had successfully conned virtually everyone in the entire town. The idea that Lily was actively rewarding a known deceiver with the ultimate corporate power disgusted Billy to his core. He viewed her decision not just as a professional slight, but as a catastrophic lapse in moral judgment, warning her with intense severity that this reckless choice would inevitably lead to a profound and agonizing regret. Despite the venom in Billy's accusations, Lily remained steadfast, anchoring herself to the belief that her choice was the right one. She offered a quiet but firm apology for his disappointment, yet she adamantly defended Kane, expressing her deep-seated conviction that he was the absolute best fit for the monumental job. Lily's internal justification was undoubtedly fueled by Kane's recent redemptive actions, particularly his selfless willingness to undergo medical procedures to save Malcolm Winters. In her eyes, Kane was a man reborn, a man who had proven his loyalty and his worth through sacrifice. However, this unwavering defense only served to highlight the tragic crossroads at which she stood, allowing her romantic history to heavily influence a decision that required cold, calculated business logic. Refusing to accept her rationale, Billy launched a harsh psychological teardown of Lily's decision-making process. He accused her of allowing her toxic, unresolved emotional attachments to completely cloud her rational judgment. With ruthless precision, Billy brought up the painful history of their relationship, reminding Lily of the countless times Kane had shattered her heart and betrayed her trust in the past. He questioned her sanity in willingly providing Kane with yet another opportunity to inflict that same devastating pain upon her. Concluding that her choice to hire such a deeply flawed individual was fundamentally unsound and disastrous, Billy abruptly turned his back on her. He walked away, leaving Lily isolated in the opulent club, surrounded by the echoing doubts he had so forcefully planted in her mind. While Lily grappled with the fallout of her corporate gamble, a much darker and more visceral struggle was unfolding within the Newman family. Nick Newman was currently drowning in the suffocating weight of his severe fentanyl addiction, a terrifying ordeal that had recently culminated in a horrific, near-fatal overdose. The psychological scars of that event were etched deeply into his soul, leaving him utterly exhausted and desperately seeking a lifeline. The realization that his life had spiraled so far out of his control had finally broken through his stubborn Newman pride, forcing him to confront the agonizing reality of his dependency. Nick was trapped in a psychological vice, battling not only the physical cravings of his addiction, but also the immense shame of his extreme vulnerability. In a moment of profound desperation, Nick sought out the one person who could truly understand the depths of his despair, his mother, Nikki Newman. Approaching her with a vulnerability he rarely showed, Nick confessed that he felt an overwhelming, urgent need to attend a recovery meeting that very day. Nikki, who had spent decades battling her own relentless demons of alcoholism, instantly recognized the fragile state of her son. Despite secretly suffering from her own terrifying, undiagnosed neurological symptoms and agonizing physical pain, Nikki pushed her own agony aside to be the fierce maternal protector Nick required. She assured him with unwavering certainty that he would be stepping into a completely safe and non-judgmental space, offering him the unconditional support that only a fellow addict could provide. The bond between mother and son was solidified as Nick expressed his desperate desire to finally share his harrowing story with others who understood the darkness. He vulnerably asked if Nikki would accompany him, needing her strength to face the daunting task of public confession. Without a second of hesitation, Nikki agreed, her response a testament to her boundless love and her commitment to his survival. The journey to the recovery meeting represented a profound shift for Nick, a step away from the relentless, toxic chaos of the Newman family's corporate warfare and into a sanctuary of healing. Together, they walked toward a space where wealth and power held no sway, and where the only currency that mattered was raw, unvarnished honesty and the desperate pursuit of sobriety. As Nick took the floor at the meeting, the suffocating vulnerability of stripping away his impenetrable Newman armor was palpable. He stood before a room of strangers, his voice heavy with the weight of his recent traumas, and began to detail his harrowing descent into the grip of addiction. He spoke candidly about the terrifying process of losing his own identity, of watching himself transform into a man he no longer recognized. The emotional climax of his narrative arrived as he recounted the sheer horror of his overdose, the agonizing shame of collapsing and nearly dying right in front of his powerful father, Victor, and his beloved son, Noah. The raw pain in his recounting painted a vivid picture of a man who had hit the absolute bottom and was now desperately clawing his way back to the light. Yet, the most agonizing and psychologically tormenting part of Nick's confession was still to come. As he concluded his harrowing tale of survival, he forced himself to reveal the twisted, bitter irony of his rescue. With a voice thick with resentment and profound humiliation, Nick admitted to the room that the person who had pulled him back from the brink of death was none other than the man he hated more than anything else in the world. He had to publicly acknowledge that Matt Clark, the monstrous abuser who had terrorized his family, manipulated his loved ones, and intentionally orchestrated the very overdose that nearly killed him, was the one who had ultimately saved his life. This confession was a brutal exercise in humility, forcing Nick to accept a life debt to his ultimate, most despised enemy. Observing these deeply flawed, beautifully tragic characters navigate their respective purgatories evokes a profound sense of melancholy within us. It is genuinely heartbreaking to witness the lengths to which human beings will go to protect their fragile hearts, only to inadvertently invite more devastation into their lives. Watching Lily blindly place her faith in a man who has repeatedly proven his capacity for betrayal stirs deep, empathetic frustration. We feel the agonizing tension of knowing she is walking toward a cliff while believing she is finally finding solid ground. Similarly, witnessing Nick's agonizing humility, his forced surrender to the reality that his survival is tethered to his abuser, resonates with a raw, visceral sorrow. These moments transcend mere entertainment. They are a profound reflection of our own terrifying vulnerabilities, reminding us of the excruciating pain of trusting the wrong people and the terrifying courage required to face our darkest, most hidden demons. As the dust settles on these monumental decisions and agonizing confessions, the stage is set for a catastrophic fallout that will undoubtedly shake Genoa City to its very core. Billy Abbott's wounded pride and relentless ambition guarantee that his warning to Lily was not merely an idle threat, but a promise of impending corporate warfare. Meanwhile, Nick Newman's fragile sobriety hangs by the thinnest of threads, constantly threatened by the lingering, manipulative shadow of Matt Clark and the suffocating pressure of the Newman legacy. The battle lines have been drawn in both the boardroom and the soul, leaving us to wonder who will emerge victorious and who will be left utterly destroyed in the wreckage. The tempest is only just beginning, and the coming days promise a storm of unparalleled devastation.